seem upset for the fact that I don't really like you.
Off, you little.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I just assumed you liked me because I thought we were good friends. So if you don't like me, fair enough. You.
Fine.
These men are professional wrestlers, but this argument is no act.
And I don't have to like you to be your business partner.
I thought we were best friends.
Well,
In fact, it's the end of a friendship. So what brought on this end? 5 years of chasing a dream. In professional wrestling, that dream is always the pursuit of the spotlight. This is the story of a group of wrestlers, a 6-city tour, and the unavoidable clash of egos. Filming wrestlers on the road in their element can sometimes be like babysitting gigantic children. They play fight, misbehave, argue, and tease each other to no end. But it's also an adventure that I can never pass up. My name is Greg Hemmings, and I'm the producer of this television show. This is my second television series with the same group of wrestlers. The wrestlers call themselves the Kardinal Sinners. And a few years ago, we produced a groundbreaking documentary series about their lives as wrestlers on the road. It was a huge success, and they all thought it was going to make them wealthy superstars. But when the TV show wasn't renewed for a second season, their egos were put in check, and wrestling was no longer their #1 priority. I managed to convince them to give it one more go in front of the cameras, and we set out for a 6-city wrestling tour that had us all crammed into vans traveling from Canada's East Coast to the nation's capital, Ottawa, Ontario. The past 2 shows in Ottawa didn't go as planned. The crowds were small, the venues were poor, and the payout was minimal. This created some friction between the Kardinal Sinners and the Ottawa promoters.
I'm not anything to anybody, man.
To add to the disappointing tour, Rick Doyle and Peter Smith, my business partners in the series, had their own battle brewing over the past few weeks.
You gonna whine about it now because you didn't cross your T's and dot your I's? Fuck, this is legitimate. Come on.
The tension was mounting, but for the time being, it seemed like they were getting along just like old times. This managed to put everyone at ease, and we were all hoping to end the tour on a high note.
We just landed in a little town called Kemptville. Sometimes smaller towns like this, everything could... Jeez, Frankie, I hate to do that, man. Jesus. Who has a shit with an open door when you're doing an interview? Only Frankie Sloan does that. He is one of them. Anyway,
myself, I'm having a bit of an issue with whether I'm actually going to wrestle tonight or not. Last night, working 2 of the younger fellas who were rather inexperienced, I end up hyperextending my arm. It's really bothering me. I don't want to go further injure myself for the little amount of money I'm getting paid. To me, that's not worth it. It'd be worth it if it was my regular payout that I normally make wrestling.
On the 3rd show of the tour, Mike was only paid $40 from the Ottawa promotion and felt that this was totally disrespectful for a wrestler of his caliber and experience. The Ottawa promoters didn't seem to have too much sympathy for Mike's complaints.
He didn't have to come up here. He did. Now he's trying to force him. I don't need him. He's not drawing me nothing. And I can never understand, never could understand why people can get an ego in wrestling when it's a freaking work. I'm telling you to win or lose. You're not actually beating me. Whether you physically could or not is irrelevant. You are not beating me. I'm letting you.
Wait. That fucking arrogant prick just came up to me again and is asking me for more money.
Who?
Hughes. Who the fuck is this guy? I'm gonna fucking tell him to go home.
One wrestler hired by the Ottawa promotion who did have a lot of experience was former WWE superstar Al Snow. Al's wrestled and trained hundreds of the world's best wrestlers and isn't surprised that there's a conflict.
We as wrestlers are the biggest, needy, insecure, aggravating group of people you'd ever want to be around. When we're doing nothing but complaining about the fact that we're dressing up in long underwear and fake fighting each other for money, when what else can you do for a living that can beat that? But we're still gonna bitch. In fact, we're so bad about it that you could pay a wrestler $1 million a year and have him wrestle one time a year and he'd find something to complain about.
Big egos are a major part of wrestling. Wrestlers feed off the energy and response they get from the crowd. The more years they've been in the business, the more they crave it. But they have also earned it. Gary Williams, a 12-year veteran, refused to help to set up and tear down the ring for the Ottawa promoters. Promoter Dean Dennis unfortunately didn't care how long Gary was in the business. If you're hired to work a show, that includes setting up the ring.
I think a lot of times people think just because they've been in for a while and they've been in a few places that that stuff doesn't matter, that they don't need to do it. Well, I'm sorry, but as a promoter, I'm not making millions of dollars here.
I know Dean thinks he knows what he's talking about, but I also know Gary does know what he's talking about. And somebody who's put the time in on the road that Gary has and paid the dues that Gary has should not ever be putting up a ring or tearing it down unless it's an absolute necessity to have the show go on.
Unless you can sit me 200 people in there and I can make money off of it and then you don't want to lift a stick of wood, that's fine. But there's nobody in this on this card today or in the last 3 days or in the last 3 years that can do that for me.
The Kardinal Sinners were on the last show of their 6-city wrestling tour. Because it was the last show, the boys wanted to just go out and have some fun. Their seemingly careless attitude was causing friction with the Ottawa promoters. Wildman Gary Williams refused to help to set up the ring and was acting out of his typical nice guy character. This was a perfect opportunity for him to go into the ring and act as a heel for the first time in years.
A couple little tricks for being a bad guy, which I'm going to use tonight, is because I am not in my my usual good shape, I'm going to wear my old trunks, and I'm going to go in there and I'm going to flex. I'm going to tell everybody that I got this killer body. You know, look at my abs. You know, I work hard for this. People right there are going to hate me. The capacity crowd of about 26 people. It's fucking fantastic. Right here, baby. This is what it's all about.
Gary's thinking about thinking, God, I need another bucket of this.
It was strange to see Gary in such a setting. Gary was once at the top of his game and in fantastic physical shape. He had such a passion for wrestling and is still considered one of the best in the country. He still managed to put on a good show for the crowd, even though it seemed like Gary had lost all his lust for performing.
Good little pop.
Now what's Frankie thinking?
Not much going on at the finish there, Coy.
Same thing he was when he went to the ring, Jack Daniels.
Frankie had just finished his match. Frankie likes to have a drink of Jack Daniels or several after his matches.
Holy Mary.
He went to open the bottle, and Dean, we all thought he was joking when he first said it. He looked at him and said, I'd appreciate if you don't drink in this venue. I've never in my life heard a promoter say that to a wrestler, and I'm still in shock by it.
I swear to God, in 18 years, nobody's ever told that to Frankie. It's gonna get real retarded real fucking quick.
So obviously he doesn't want me to have a little snip of my drink, even though my job is done, I'm finished. And I'm waiting for him, and he obviously doesn't know I've been drinking the last 2 fucking days as soon as I'm finished.
For him to disrespect a guy who's climbed in the ring more times in a week than he has in his life, it's absolutely shocking and befuddling to me.
If he doesn't want me to drink, I suppose it's his choice, because he's paying me all this money.
Well, the whole idea is when you get into a venue, I mean, this is a non-alcoholic. I don't have a license. I don't have a permit for alcohol. There can't be any alcohol on the premises. Well, you can hide it, keep it down, but I'm the one who's got to pay for it if they get caught. It's not them. They just get to go home. I got to deal with this place.
In an uncharacteristic move, Gary decided he was going to open up a beer in front of the promoter Dean, just to piss him off. It was looking like Gary was trying to pick a fight. The Kardinal Sinners' relationship with the promoter of the Ottawa shows was uneasy at best. It was the last night of the wrestling tour, and promoter Dean Dennis just told Frankie Sloan that he couldn't drink backstage after his match. In Frankie's defense, Gary Gallant decided to crack a beer anyway.
He said he has an insurance issue that he's not insured for. I can respect that, seriously.
Yeah, no promoter in the world would have the gall to do that. Especially promoters that pay the fucking pennies that he pays them. If anything, he should be cracking beers for us.
Yeah, I 100% agree. But I'm not going to sit here and walk around the building with fucking, advertise it.
It was becoming clear that the Kardinal Sinners had just about enough of the Ottawa shows. This tour was supposed to be huge, and they anticipated it would elevate them back into the spotlight that they once had, and get the fire burning again. In our first television series, the wrestlers were all focused on taking their careers to the next level. But now at the end of this tour, the wind has been taken out of their sails, and they didn't care anymore. Gary has always been known as the nicest guy in professional wrestling. Now he was so disenchanted that he reduced himself to pulling disrespectful pranks.
Let me finish my...
I'm not looking at your 30 seconds. Let me see.
Gary?
All right, we're gonna have it. When it gets wet.
You know what that beer is?
Why not?
Alcohol on a
I'm just
property.
getting used
I can't. I'm not insured for it, man.
I'm insured for it.
Seriously, they come in, they find I don't have a liquor license.
I'm always end up.
Who's going to come in here and find it? Gary is not the guy I expected to see step up to the plate and start drinking. To be honest, I think Gary was just being an ass and trying to stir up trouble.
This tour certainly wasn't living up to its expectations. My business partner Rick Doyle's only focus was to get rich. He thought he deserved more money to the point that he became paranoid and suspicious about this show's budget. He was so uncooperative in the weeks leading up to the tour that it threatened the entire project. And now on the last days of the tour, he was still giving me an earful about how every dollar should be spent.
Rick is getting paid $10,000 to come do 3 professional wrestling matches and party on the road with his friends for 4 days. What did he have to complain about?
If you've got, thousands of dollars or whatever the case may be, and you're an owner or have shares in something, it's ridiculous to hand all authority, power, and decision-making over to one person and not understand exactly how every dollar's being spent. You get your lawyers to look at things.
No, actually, my lawyers are our lawyers.
I know what you're saying.
Your money is paying for the same lawyer. It's kind of redundant for you to go out and talk to another lawyer, talk to another accountant to go over what we've already paid someone else to do.
Listen, I'd love to say we could all hold hands and run through the tulips, but business doesn't work like that. Life doesn't work like that. If things go bad, ultimately, you're the one that screwed it up then.
Yeah.
If they go bad...
If things go bad, it's also my house and my mortgage that is on the line.
Greg is a very busy man. He's got several productions on the go. He doesn't have time to train somebody in the ins and outs of production. Greg's not our teacher, he's our producer.
After the discussion with Greg, being the true pro that he is, he left his wireless mic on, and I was able to overhear him speaking that he was legitimately hurt and upset about the situation between the two of us. That's Greg. That's Greg right there. Here's the deal. We have a partnership here between Peter, him, and myself, and I need to protect myself to make sure that when I sit at the table with those other 2 business partners, that I have a leg to stand on as far as my opinions go. Now, if this becomes a success, I will kick in 110%, and we will market this thing, we will promote this thing, and I'll be there for season 3, if I can make a living at it.
Rick's position that he would only put effort into the project after he gets rich is the underlying conflict that will ultimately lead the Kardinal Sinners down a path that no one could have expected. Kardinal Sinners wrestling tour was coming to an end. After packing houses and putting on great shows in our first television series, Wrestling Reality, I never thought I'd see them wrestle in front of only 30 people. Especially when former WWE superstar Al Snow was wrestling the Kardinal Sinners star Peter Smith in the main event. The match was decent, but like everything else on this tour, it didn't live up to expectations. But the boys were all still in good spirits.
I think the promoter probably lost a lot of money. But hey, we had a great time, our group, so we had some fun. That's the main thing.
I'm going to throw out there, in my 19-year career, these are possibly the worst shows I've ever been on in my life.
The fact that the promoters didn't draw still didn't sit well with Mike. He felt he was disrespected by only getting paid $40. He wasn't afraid to give the promoters a piece of his mind.
I've never, from the first day I put on my boots, have made that little money. Never. And you can ask Peter Smith.
What did you get paid for your first match in professional wrestling?
I made a salary.
What did you make for your first
Are you
show?
gonna let me answer you?
Yes, I am.
just said $500 a week is what I made for my first.
Very first. Very first. Mike, you can't draw a dime up here. Now, listen, it's obvious.
I
Okay,
can't?
You can't.
I can't draw
Nobody
a dime.
can.
My work can't draw a dime here. Or
hold
the
on.
promoter can't put enough asses in the seat by promoting it properly.
In my opinion, the promoter is the one at risk. In my entire career, I've never worked on a if the house is good, you get paid better, because that's down to the promoter. If you're working at a pizza shop, well, we didn't sell that many pizzas last night, we're gonna have to dock your pay. That's just not how business is done.
I know what it's like to run a tour, but when I brought these guys in, I told them you were getting this, you were getting this, and you were getting this, because their job is to take their bumps in the ring and give me a good match. My job as a promoter is to put asses in the seat.
Mike, come on, man. You know what? This conversation's gonna end real soon. Okay. You know what, Mike? The reality and the end of this, and whether it gets through to you or whether it doesn't get through to you, it doesn't matter, is the fact that you can't draw me shit.
At the same time that Mike and Wayne were arguing about the payouts, on the other side of the bar, Rick started verbally attacking Peter, and no one could understand why. There had been tension between the two for weeks, and it finally started to boil over.
You seem upset for the fact that I don't really like it.
F off, you little.
Oh, okay.
F off.
Okay.
I've bent over backwards to try to make you. You were so miserable the first day of this trip. I bent over backwards to try to talk to you and try to be nice to you. And you are the most toxic person anybody here has ever met.
Okay, so you just made me feel so bad.
Down. And you know, all I did, I walked over there next to you for a minute. You turned on me.
I don't know why you're so upset. This is a business venture right from day one. If I don't agree with you, Peter, I don't agree with you.
I don't even remember us having an argument.
About what?
Anything.
Oh.
You're saying that I'm mad because you don't agree with me. We weren't arguing about anything, so I don't even know what you're talking about.
I'm just amazed with this.
I think a lot of people are amazed. You'd be surprised what they're amazed about.
For the next 20 minutes, all I really remember is him yelling at me, telling me that I made a fool of myself and I'm a joke and this and that. And
I really don't even know what sparked that argument.
I actually said to Mike Hughes that night, I said, do you think I just should have reached out and knocked him out?
I ain't gonna back down, okay? If you think that's gonna happen, I'm gonna come back and say, I'm sorry, Pete, this happened. That's not gonna happen, okay? You wanna stand toe-to-toe with me, I'll do it.
What the fuck did you do, Al?
Huh?
You've done nothing.
Oh, really?
Nothing.
What did you do? What did you do? You tell me.
We have shows, don't we?
Okay, so what did
You're
you do?
shooting right now.
What did you do? Tell me.
I asked you what you did.
No, I'm asking you what you did. Oh, yeah, okay, poke fun of me, Pete. That's right, good. You tell me professionally what you did on this series.
I don't think I have to.
Jesus. This is awkward.
Yeah.
Jeez. That was like a bolt out of the fucking blue. A bolt out of the blue to everyone sitting in the fucking bar. I want you to be happy, I want him to be happy.
I'm fine. I'm absolutely fine.
You know, I even just now said to him, I said,
what you said, I said, was that for the benefit of the camera? He says, no, I really feel that way. So,
I really don't know why he attacked me like that. I think he's nuts.
I haven't really spoken to him since we got home, and so obviously we haven't spoken about our argument, our blowout.
To be honest, things aren't really that good between Peter and myself right now.
You know, it is what it is. I don't think that we're ever going to be friends again. Business partners, yes, but you know, I can't trust him if he's going to go off on me like that.
After what happened on this tour, I just think we've had enough of each other, and I probably think this will be the last time that we were ever together.
Despite the friction between Rick and Peter, no one expected it would end like this. They chased a dream together for 5 years, hoping for the respect, recognition, and paycheck they deserved. Instead, they got an atrocious wrestling tour and a tragic end to a close friendship. As a filmmaker, I didn't get the storybook ending I was hoping for. There was no fame and no fortune. Just a lonely, defeated bus ride home. This may be the last time anyone sees the Kardinal Sinners, as we know it, on tour together. But the feeling wrestlers get in the ring, any ring, is often enough to keep them coming back. Wrestling is an addiction that is nearly impossible to shake.
Everything about the wrestling business is just beyond me. It's overwhelming. For me, it's my drug.
It's like everybody in this business is mistress. You always seem to keep running back to them. And you have this silent love affair where you just can't get away from it.
I'll admit, when you get out there, you get that buzz for wrestling, and it really gets in you and eats at you, but I really don't know what the future is going to hold for me, but there's a real buzz about wrestling right now.
Wrestling's in my blood. It's never going to leave, so we will make this work.